Good morning, guys. Welcome to the channel. You guys clicked on this video today because you want to see the brand new 2024 bows that are out. Maybe you're trying to decide what bow should I buy. This video is for you. So we're going to go down to Sunrise Archery in Fenton, Michigan today, and we're going to shoot all of the brand new flagship bows from Mathews, HOYT, PSC, BOWTECH, Elite, etc. All of them. Sunrise Archery is our premier bow shop here in Michigan. Just an absolutely awesome bow shop with some really good, honest dudes. We're gonna go down there, shoot all these bows, and just literally give you honest feedback of what we think. We're not paid to say we like one bow better than the other, which is kind of cool. Like I said, if this bow sucks, I'll say, hey, don't buy one of these. If I really like it, I'll say this bow's awesome. So yeah, that's kind of the agenda for today, is to head down to Sunrise and shoot these bows. So if you're new here, my name's Tyler Bentley. I'm the owner, founder of the Rise Hunt. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, check out all of our hunts, and stay tuned to the end of this video because we're going to be doing a giveaway with Sunrise Archery. So if you stay through to the end, you're going to figure out how to get entered in that. It's super easy. We're going to give away like $100 in Sunrise gift cards, maybe a little bit more. Maybe we'll throw some Rise gear in there or something like that. Again, honest feedback on all the brand new 2024 bows. Jumping in the truck, got a 30-minute drive. We're going to get there. We're going to dive right into it. So thanks for tuning in, and here we go. All right, we're rolling. We're down at Sunrise Archery today. Here is Derek. He's the wizard.
Guys?
He knows way more about bows than I do, so he's gonna be here to inform you guys. The new bows, the 2024 bows, the specs, the speeds, that's super important, we were just talking about, and pretty much all the new updates to these bows. I think we're shooting, man, I don't know, how many bows do you got lined up?
I think we got about 12 different bows from 7 different manufacturers. I think we're going to run through them, no particular order here, and then we'll sit down and talk about, you know, what you thought, some of the specs, some of the new features, and what we got going on here for 2024.
Perfect, man. That sounds good. PSC Mach 30.
This is their new carbon option for 2024. They had the Mach 34.
Right, the bigger one.
The levitate. They used to have a Mach 1, which was 31. This is at 30 inches axle-axle. New roller guard. You know, it's got the pick rail on it for both the rest and the sight. So the Evolved 2 cam, basically the EC2 they call it. They're offering it with the bronze finish on the limb pockets and the cam this year, which a lot of guys are digging.
That's pretty cool looking.
Initially, they were only going to have it on that cryptic pattern there, and then so many guys liked it, they're offering it on black and charcoal as well now. And you can custom order it on any bow.
It weighs nothing, super light.
Yeah, it's actually slightly heavier than the last couple.
Is it?
I think they're getting, you know, they're wanting a little bit more stability out of it. The roller frame, I think, added a touch of weight too, but it's still the lightest bow you're going to shoot today.
Yeah, so like last year, the PSC Machs, this was all closed riser. The 34?
It's longer, yeah. The 34 is a longer, you know, one bridge basically system until you get out to the ends. It doesn't have as big a bridge system as that bow does.
Yeah, it's definitely a different look, heavy and split, and obviously shorter too. Yeah. So pretty sweet, man. Obviously, it's so light too, because there's not any accessories or anything like that.
Yeah, oh yeah. You can make them as heavy as you want.
Right.
We put all these bows at 30-inch draw, 60 pounds, give or take a pound or two, so they're all going to be fairly comparable for you.
Perfect. I almost think I kind of forgot about it when we switched to the thumb button last year. My draw length got a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think we were doing 29.5 last year, and this year we got them at 30.
Yeah, maybe even over. At least that one kind of felt like
short.
See there?
Yeah.
Just a little bit though.
Yeah.
I think sweet.
Next up is the Evolve 33 DS from PSC, which is one of their new aluminum offerings.
Okay.
A lot of the same features as the carbon as far as the new roller system and everything, but obviously we're talking aluminum and a longer axle-axle bow here.
Okay.
Same cam, you know, and a longer frame and a little more brace height, it's probably going to feel a little bit easier to draw, even though it's same poundage and length, because you don't have to roll that cam quite as far to get that 30-inch draw.
Okay. It's obviously bigger bow. 34, you said?
More forgiving. Yep, 33 axle.
33, okay.
Yeah.
So this is comparable to that Mach 34, just aluminum, not carbon.
Yeah, closer in specs to the Mach 34, yep.
Okay. Yeah, a little easier to pull back, I'd say.
Oh yeah. Get to roll them both over instead of one.
Right. I like the grip on that.
Yeah, it is a new grip. I think last year they started doing that new grip, rubber over molded, but it's a lot more comfortable than that fat rubber grip they used to use on there, in my opinion.
Yeah, a lot of guys are going to that rubber grip composite, like, you know, warm to your hand when you're in a cold tree stand and stuff. Seems like a lot of people are going that way.
Next up, we got the Lift 29.5. Big thing for Mathews this year, you know, it's basically a complete overhaul. It doesn't look from a distance too much different than their previous models, but they shaved quite a bit of weight out of these bows this year in a few different areas. It's a new cam. You know, they're now offering mods from 55 peak all the way to 80 peak, so they've gone a little bit above and beyond there from what they used to do. It used to be 60 to 75, and now they got 2 more mod options, and we're actually selling a lot more 80s than I expected, which,
Really?
you know, we've sold more 80-pound bows this year than probably the last 5 years combined already. Just
Really?
Because Mathews is offering it.
Wow.
Seems like.
That's wild.
Cam's a little bit more aggressive, I think, than previous models, and I think it's more noticeable in the short bow. I think it builds up a little bit, but it does produce a little bit more speeds than, you know, the Phase 4 or the V3Xs. The 33, on the other hand, I really don't feel that draw cycle, you know, nearly as much, and for that reason, I kind of tend to like that one a little bit better personally. But super light, they're selling like hotcakes. Probably going to be the best selling bow we've ever had based on early returns. Yeah, I think they launched, you know, mid-November, and we've already had over 100 of them go out the door. So it's been
crazy,
a
man.
big seller for us.
Crazy. And obviously, Mathews came out with new bowstrings this year, the Match bowstring.
Yeah, they changed their strings. They went from zebras to Match. Visually, they looked similar outside of the servings. They used to be the speckled servings on the ends. Now they're solid. They look a little cleaner, in my opinion.
Yep.
Look a little better. You know, the jury's still out long term how they're going to hold up. So far, we haven't had any issues. You know, they're looking like they're pretty decent.
Yeah,
so.
Sure thing. This is the 33, right?
No, it's 29.5.
But is it 29?
Yeah, long riser. They look longer.
I just had this second look at it. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's 29.5. They just have an extremely long riser.
Dude,
Basically, the riser's as long as the axle on these bows.
No kid. I thought I had the bigger one in my hand. That's crazy, just looking at it.
Yeah.
It's so light. Like when I was just picked, it's just like a feather, dude.
It's lighter than most carbons nowadays. You know, you compare it to some of the carbons out there, it's actually lighter than some of the other competitors' carbon bows.
Like I just shot the PSE was the last one I shot. Like when I went to pick the bow up, this felt like...
That's probably going to be the next lightest of all the bows we shoot.
No kidding. A little bit heavier in the back wall than that PSE, like kind of getting over that hump.
Yeah, loads up a little bit more.
Still, it's got that dead in hand like Mathews always does.
When they first came out, my initial reaction is they're going to have a little bit more buzz, they're going to be a little bit noisier, and that's absolutely not the case.
Right. It's
I don't know how they do it, but they're dead.
So light.
They always have that wow factor when you shoot them. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, there's nothing there.
That sounds really dumb, but like, has anybody ever went on to weigh the bow? You know, we checked the IBO, we checked the speed. You know, they say, oh, sub 4 pounds, or this is 4.5 pounds. Has anyone ever physically weighed a bow?
We weigh them a lot of times outfitted to see where they end up.
Right, afterwards.
Usually they weigh a little bit more than they advertise. I think when they advertise weights without some of the dampening features and stuff on them, they kind of strip them bare bones.
Yeah.
Pretty much every bow across the board, if we actually put it on a scale, you know, and obviously when you set it up, it's going to weigh significantly more. Yeah,
this thing feels like a feather. I mean, it feels lighter than the PSEs, in my opinion. I don't know if it's just the way that the weight is, but...
It might be the distribution of it.
Could be.
That Mach 30 is slightly lighter, but the balance and weight distribution could be a little bit different. I
feel like just the back wall, coming into the back wall is a little bit little bit more rigid, like when you kind of jump over that.
It builds up a little bit.
Yeah, that's all right.
I don't think you'll notice it quite as much on the 33.
Probably not. So that's new for this year too, is the fade to black.
Yeah, that's one of the new color options. They've got, you can get all 3 solid colors outside of black, so the granite, earth, and ambush you can get in that fade.
Yep. That's pretty cool.
Which is pretty sharp. It's kind of a love or hate. I don't mind it at all. I think it looks pretty sharp. Some guys are shying away from it, but it's been one of the better selling colors.
Sweet.
And then they also do mossy oak bottomlands, which is a really sharp looking color. All their camos this year seem to be a little bit better, more vivid.
Okay.
They're popping
like
a little bit
better
more.
print quality almost.
Changed their process, or they got a new film dipping supplier, or what's going on there. But
this thing feels gigantic.
Yeah, the riser on that bow is huge. I mean, it's longer than some of the guys. I got guys that are shooting 36, 37-inch target bows, and they're comparing the riser, and it's shorter than this.
Is it really?
So 33, not super long, feels super long in your hand because of the long riser. Helps with stability.
I really do like the color though. I think that's sweet.
Yeah, it's sharp.
A lot of guys do like different color limbs, and so that's kind of just something else they can customize. One more color option. Feels huge.
Yeah, it's my favorite Mathews in the last 5 years for sure.
Is it really?
Personally, yes.
You went with one of these. You have this bow, right?
I have a 33.
Yeah.
I got a lot of bows.
I know.
I pretty much have one of everything you're shooting for the most part.
Right.
Or at least one from each brand.
Yeah. Yeah, string angle's way different, longer bow. Smoother draw. I mean, I kind of dumped in the back wall, but it felt smoother.
It is, yeah. To me, I really like the draw cycle. It's stiff but smooth. It doesn't have that big dump.
Right.
It doesn't build up quite as much as a short one.
Yeah, it's a sweet bow, dude.
New carbon from HOYT.
Yep.
RX-8. It's the shorter model, 30-inch axle to axle.
This is what the famous Nick Cohealy shoots.
That's right. So big change for them this year on the bows is the cam. A lot more adjustable on the cam. We can now do 1/4 inch draw length adjustments, which is cool. Myself, I've always kind of floated between 28, 28 and a half, so this is a bow I could potentially run in between if I wanted to. 3 different let-off positions, 85, 80, 75, so a lot more adjustability on that cam. The shims this year are a lot cleaner. They fit, I think, between the limbs a lot better than they did in the past, and they also put cap screws on the ends of the axles instead of E-clips, so you can really get that tolerance. There's no play. Some of the older bows, I noticed, in certain light, you could almost see the axle because there was a little bit of extra room, slop in there.
Yeah.
And they've done away with all that on top of a little bit wider limb platform. So riser, from a distance, again, looks pretty much like an RX-7 from a distance. But when you start diving into it, the cam, is a lot more adjustable. They added a 3rd mod as well, so you can really, peak optimize those draw length ranges and get a little bit better performance out of the short draws.
Yeah, a lot of guys going to the Picatinny. I mean, they had it last year.
More and more, and at first it was kind of, people were hesitant, and we were hesitant to stock a lot because there was only a couple bows that did it. But now with HOYT and PSE and Prime and several others jumping on board, we're starting to see more sales in that market. Yeah,
obviously we partner with B3, and one of the marketing directors over there, Clint. I talked to Clint and I said, "Are you guys going to start making stuff for this Picatinny rail?" I asked him a couple years ago at ATA, and he said probably not. He's like, "I don't think it's going to stick around. We don't really think we're going to do it." Well, once PSE and all these brands, and then I see B3, and they're like, we kind of have to, because that's the way everybody's going.
And the cool thing is a lot of the manufacturers are building pick mounts that you can buy separate and retrofit older model sights to these newer bows. So if you couldn't buy a pick 2 years ago, now you can buy a part, and make your old sight work in that fashion if you want.
Right, exactly. And the point here is obviously a lot of the, like Mathews, and I seen BOWTECH this year, they went with the integrated.
Yeah.
And so that's essentially integrated is what it is.
Yeah, it's another way of doing it. They're just trying to shave weight wherever they can, keep everything more streamlined, allows you to bring your quiver tighter to the bow, less weight out to the side, just keep your accuracy up and just keep everything, basically in line.
Right.
Fit and finish looks clean that way as well. That's a new color, Tombstone.
That's a cool color, it really is.
Yeah, we've Yeah, we've sold quite a few in that color so far.
That's the new color all the trucks have, that like silver. You see all the new Chevys and stuff that have that, Broncos and whatnot.
Yeah.
A little even more aggressive than the Mathews, I think. And I think I felt like that last year too when I shot the Hoyts.
I think it depends on where you fall in the draw length range. When you shoot the other bow, I don't think you'll feel it as much, the longer aluminum bow.
Yep.
Because of where you fall in that mod.
I'm big and I'm long. Yeah. So I feel like I feel everything.
A lot of bows with the rotating modules, they feel really good in the sweet spots, and then you get to the long end of them and sometimes they have a little bit more dump to them, a little bit more stack.
Right.
Which inherently makes them faster, but sometimes maybe not quite as smooth a draw.
Right.
Because I feel like these bows, you know, when you're in the middle of the mod ranges, are super smooth, and I think you'll probably feel that on the other bow a little bit more. Same cam, but you'll be in a different mod position.
Yeah, just kind of. Less vibration, feels like, compared to.
They're really dead in the hand.
Some Hoyts in the past.
The aluminums are as well.
X or Alpha X or
Alpha X. So you know, from the VTM, the biggest change, you know, you'll notice immediately is a much more machined out, bridged out riser. You know, so a totally different look in the riser area.
Look, it resembles a Mathews when I'm looking like here, seeing all like these.
Yeah, they do a lot of machining in it, a lot of caging, even in the bridge here. They got holes you can run your QAD rest cords through here, so you don't have to wrap it and rub it on the side of the riser anymore. They did that last year, but now they got a couple different options for that.
That's cool. Same
cam, you know, so we're still talking 1/4 inch draw length adjustments, you know, the 3 let off positions, all that good stuff.
It's awesome. So are a dumb question, but it's similar limbs on the carbon bow?
Same platform as far as the width and everything. They're probably different deflections and stuff for the carbon versus the aluminum. I could be proved wrong there, but I don't know exactly if they're the same limbs or not.
So significantly heavier, first thing I noticed.
Yep.
Obviously a bigger bow. It doesn't feel, yeah, I guess
You're back into the, you know, mid-4s bow range, which everything you shot up to this point, besides the longer PSE, has been closer to 4.
Right.
Or under, even on the carbon bow. Yep, machined Picatinny into the rail, or into the riser, excuse me. You know, same thing on the rest. You can do integrate rest. They do have, you know, I know you've been a big proponent of the Mathews limb legs in the past, how they're freestanding, easy on and off. HOYT has a new limb leg system, and maybe we can put one on a bow when we go talk about them. But it's a system where you can get the cam off the ground. I don't know if you notice here, but they actually have a bumper built into the cam. That. If you want to rest the cam on the ground, you're not resting the string track in the dirt.
That's nice.
So you might save your serving on the bottom end there.
Way smoother, like night and day difference.
Yeah, like I said, now you're in the, you know, C position instead of the A position on the cam, so you're going to get a lot smoother draw cycle.
Yeah, I would take some weight just for that smoothness. You know what I mean?
I mean, you could essentially, you know, you're going to lose performance because of it, but you could probably pull 2-3 more pounds and make up for it, and not see a real difference in draw cycle.
I mean, way smoother compared to the last few bows, I think. It's awesome. Same thing, dead in the hand, just like the other one. Vibration has went way down on the Hoyts, I feel like.
Yeah, I think they made some good improvements this year. All right, next up, we'll shoot the new Prime. This is the RVX 34. They've got a 32 and a 36 as well. I'll have you shoot the one kind of right in the middle. From a spec standpoint and bow standpoint, they probably did the least as far as changes to the bow this year. Things visually you'll notice is the flex guard here is now angled. And
they brought it up too.
They brought the mounting position here up, but the roller's back kind of in a similar position. And what they were doing mainly is trying to allow more rest to be mounted on the bow. They're having issues with clearance on some rest, so that's cleared that up.
Right.
They do have a new part for your draw stops, so you can adjust your let off that they didn't have last year. So if you don't want that super high let off, you can, you know, put a stop on there to, you know, go down to 75-80%. And then they, you know, brought the pick stuff in. They got a pick rail for both the rest and the sight now, which is new this year for them. And some new color options. They've got some fade colors as well.
Do they?
With camo patterns, and I haven't seen one in person yet, but the pictures look pretty sharp.
I like the color of this one too. Resembles the last Hoyt.
New gray from them as well.
Sweet, man. Obviously, these primes, the last couple of years, they've had this cool to the touch. Like I said, it seems like everybody's going to this rubber.
Their grip's really popular.
That's nice. And then just for the prime, the grips are higher than any other bow. They're kind of more.
So a lot of the bows below the grip, which makes them hang and balance really well, and they aim. You know, makes them easier to aim level, basically.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Pulled that back really sloppy.
I still like the draw cycle on this bow a lot.
Do you?
I did last year as well, same cam.
Yeah.
So I really like the draw cycle.
Well, they used to have the dual inline, and then they went to just the single inline, but it still resembles that.
Similar shape. You know, they've done that bigger cam on top versus the bottom ever since they raised the grip up to keep that knock travel level. You know, the dual track thing was fine for balance, but it really, you know, they were up to a 7-piece string and cable set on those bows, you know, double yokes on them, so it was really not friendly to work on, and a lot of guys didn't like it. I'm not sure if that's why they went away from that or not, but I think it may have had something to do with it. I like this cam better than any cam they've had as far as feel.
That's cool. Anyone who doesn't know, Prime has free strings for life when you buy a Prime.
Yep. So you register your bow with 2 years from the date of registry, you're eligible for a free set of strings and cables.
Yep, that's a huge value thing for some guys that spend that much money on a bow, knowing I don't ever have to worry about strings.
Yeah, and if you're going to keep a bow, you know, a lot of guys are keeping a bow for 10 to 15 years, even longer. Yeah. I mean, that saves you, you know, there's $1,000 over a long haul potentially. That's crazy
that they're able to do that. Smooth. You can actually feel how high that grip is at full draw. Like it feels like you're like up past the halfway point of the bow.
Yep, it changes the string angle a bit, you know, so even on a 34-inch bow, it's got a string angle that's more similar to some of the shorter bows because the top end of the bow is short. But like I said, the balance and the way they aim is what kind of sets them apart, and that's kind of their claim to fame in the industry right now.
Yeah, that's an awesome bow.
All right, next up we got a couple BOWTECHs. They came out with a new Core series. They've got an SS and an SR. I've got the SR set up for you. It's the longer axle. What they're advertising is more their speed bow, but we've got it in comfort, and I think it's a real, you know, more of a smooth shooter than a speed bow, but it's still putting out pretty good speeds. 33 axle. The SS is 31.5 axle, a little more brace height.
Okay.
If you prefer a shorter axle bow. Both really nice smooth shooting bows. Another bow, you know, I mentioned the Mathews, probably my favorite in the last 5 years. I think this is probably my favorite BOWTECH in the last 5 years as well.
Is it really?
Going back to, you know, people that know me know how much I like the SR6 and the Realm X from that time frame for BOWTECH.
Yeah.
This bow feels more like those bows in my hand.
Okay.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Locked in at full draw. I don't know about it. We'll see how you feel about the draw cycle at 30. I haven't shot it at 30, but you know, at 28 and a half where I shoot it, I really like the draw cycle a lot.
Nice. I really liked the SS's last year. Like I said, I've always said I'm a smooth, quick comfort guy over speed anyway.
They added a couple of their target bow features, you know, to the Core series. They have the adjustable grip angle, so you can actually change the angle of your grip here. And they also have the time lock feature on the cams, which they've had on their target bow. So you can actually micro adjust timing without a bow press.
That's sweet.
You don't have to do a half a twist in a cable if you're slightly off. You know, there's a set screw on the side and an Allen wrench at the end. You can actually, there's an indicator on the side how far you've moved it, where you can actually adjust your timing right on the.
A lot of guys really like the BOWTECHs because, like, obviously the deadlock, they like lock everything. Everything is.
It's one of the few bows. I mean, now that you can do the timing as well as your lateral tuning with the deadlock, you really, you know, outside of changing strings and cables, if you're going to do something like that, you really don't have to have a bow press.
That's pretty cool.
To tune these bows.
That's very cool. Yeah, that was smooth.
No, I think that's good. Could you
Yeah, it feels good. Feels really good at that.
Yeah.
Draw cycle there.
I'm probably taking that bow to Southeast Tack, to be honest with you. I think I'm going to try that bow out down there and see how I do. I may shoot something different in Michigan just to mix it up. I like trying different stuff, so.
I like this grip.
Yeah.
It seems narrow.
A lot of people, like, they pick it up off the shelf and like, I don't like the grip. But when
when
they
you shoot
the
it,
grip,
it feels
it's
good.
more like a Target style grip, so it's very repeatable.
Reminds me of, it's kind of odd, but an old Mathews grip. Remember when they were real skinny for a minute there?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt
like the flat line or the flat back grip.
Yeah.
Some guys didn't like that. I actually like this grip a little better than that. I think it's actually slightly thinner than those were.
It is. It felt really small. Like you said, competition like bow or something like that.
Yeah, it's more of a Target style of grip.
Yeah, that's an awesome shooting bow.
You know, is good.
So BOWTECH came out with 6 new bows, I think it was this year total.
They got a bunch of new bows. They got some price point bows as well. I got you shooting a couple of their flagship bows.
Yeah.
Last year they launched the Carbon One. This year they come out with a longer axle version. This is the Carbon One X.
Oh.
So basically, you know, they've put bridges in the ends of the risers to get you a longer axle on the same riser that the Carbon One utilized. For those of the guys, you know, guys that like the little longer axle. Super smooth shooter. It's not super light, you know, for a carbon bow, but it's got a lot of dampening features built right into the riser. All the same tuning features.
Real similar grip, like smaller grip there, kind of like
same
that.
grip. You know, it might feel a little bit different because you're, you know, the side walls are carbon versus the cutout aluminum, but it's that same platform. I don't think you can adjust the angle on this bow. It doesn't look like you can.
It resembles, when I'm looking at like just the cage, it resembles like a carbon spider or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like seeing the cage and the splits. And
yeah, it's definitely a unique looking riser, the way they caged it and widened it out at the end.
These pieces up here are crazy looking.
Almost like a bridge system, like a
I feel like I'm
add-on.
shooting some kind of alien weapon here. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
It's a technical looking bow for sure.
So this is the Carbon One
X.
Carbon One X.
They still offer the Carbon One if you like the shorter axle. A little bit more brace height than the previous bow. I believe this one's 6.5 or 5/8 maybe. 6 1/8 versus 6, so just slightly more brace height.
These pieces here they have in the cage, this is like vibration dampening, or what is this? Okay.
That's their orbit dampeners built right into the riser. They are removable if you don't want them in there, but you know, if you want to suck some weight out of it or something, you could take them out. But they do, you know, it's basically a floating weight system.
Different little attachments here.
They got a lot of different back bar mount locations too, top and bottom. You can do it to the top and bottom. You've seen guys like Tim Gillingham that put, you know, looks like spider legs coming off of his bow. He's got stabilizers running off the bow, so it gives you that kind of versatility.
That's cool. Wide, you know, when I'm looking at it, I'm seeing like wide limbs.
Yep, a lot of these bows are gone to that super wide limb platform.
Yeah.
And it's all about stability, balancing out the load across the limbs.
Integrated, nothing but the
I'm guessing their next generation of carbon bows will be built for their new center mast stuff, the new sights. We didn't really talk about that. We'll talk about it on the aluminum bows when we go over there and maybe show you some sights, but they have and similar to Mathews, but it's what they're calling center mast technology. They got a whole new quiver that's center mast. They got new stabilizers that are nice stabilizers as well.
So they're making accessories and stuff.
Everybody's doing that customization, you know, all one brand, you know, system that we talked about last year a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice drawing bow.
Both of these BOWTECHs, you know, you're shooting in what they call the comfort setting.
Yeah.
They have the flip disc, you know, on the mod, so you can rotate these mods, flip them over, and put it in performance. It does, you know, make the draw cycle noticeably stiffer. They wind up a little longer, but you will gain, you know, 6 to 10 feet per second depending on the model.
Like if you're getting out of that comfort setting to...
Some of the smooth bows, like I think this bow and the SS are still, you know, not bad in performance. You get some of the more speed driven bows, they definitely stack up quite a bit more. Some guys don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
For me, I like that SR in comfort. It's where I'm gonna run it. Still get really good speed out of it, but it's still a smooth draw cycle. This bow I could probably shoot in performance, just this cam, the way this cam is designed.
It's a really smooth draw. Yeah, it's nice. It's light.
Yep.
It's gotta be hard to, like if a guy comes in and did what I did, like how the heck do you pick which bow that you want, you know?
Most guys come in and they got 2 or 3. If not, they've already picked one.
They got it narrowed it down.
Usually they want to shoot 2 or 3. There are guys that want to shoot them all, and you know, we'll accommodate that. You know, obviously it takes a little bit more time.
For sure.
But that's what we're here for. So
yeah, Ethos.
Elite Ethos. They've got 3 new bows in the flagship lineup this year. Ethos is going to be the most popular one because of the draw, length, range. They got one called a Kairos that's essentially the same bow with the smaller cam on it, the same cam that they're putting on their target bows, and it'll accommodate a shorter draw length range. And that's actually the bow that I picked up this year because I only shoot a 28-inch draw. So if you're a guy that's 29 or longer, you're probably going to prefer the Ethos because of the draw cycle and the range on it. Guys that are, you know, 28 and a half and under, you know, you can go either way. May lean towards the Kairos because you're going to get a little more performance out of that smaller cam.
Right.
You know, they're still doing the set technology, tunable without a press, similar to a BOWTECH. It's just in the limb pocket versus the axles. Kind of works in the same general fashion. You know, you're rotating a screw here that's changing the pressure on one limb versus the other to get that lateral tune there. Another cam that does have 1/4-inch draw length capabilities. I know we talked about that on the HOYT. Elite's been doing that for a few years now. I think they may have been the first one that really had that customization. And you know, kind of an infinite let-off adjustment too here with the stop. The way it's built, you can, you know, move it in and out from anywhere from 90 down to probably 65% let-off. 33 axle. They do have a shorter axle bow. Again, that's a little bit more designed for the shorter draw, the Allure. I think it's a 31 axle.
Couple things as soon as I picked it up. A little bit fatter grip. No rubber like the last few I've shot.
Yeah, on the front side, it's kind of triangular shaped a little bit, so it's narrow in the back and kind of widens out on the front.
Yep.
Most guys like Elite grip quite a bit. They've always had a decent grip, I felt.
Yeah.
But maybe cold, you may want to put a wrap or something on there.
Just different.
Has side plates on it right now.
Coming off the last, you know, 6 bows we've shot, it seems like everybody's going to that rubberized grip. Even if it's just like the BOWTECH, just the front of it.
Yeah.
This one having no rubber whatsoever. I mean, yeah, it feels great in your hand. Feels a little bit wider, but definitely different. It almost feels a little more old school than, you know, kind of the last few bows we shot.
Yeah.
You said this one is the Ethos, and the other one is the
Ethos, the Kairos, which is a short draw version of the same bow essentially. The riser and everything to me looks exactly the same. And then they have a shorter axle version called the Allure.
Okay. I knew there was another one. Yep.
They don't want to advertise it, you know, as a women's bow, but it would be an option for a woman,
right?
Because of the draw length range, short draw guy, or somebody that just prefers a shorter axle.
Yep. Not quite as wide as the BOWTECHs.
Still pretty wide limb profile, but not quite maybe as wide as some of the others have gotten now.
It resembles, I'm not going to say old, but it doesn't look as insane as some of the new bows.
It's kind of clean.
It's kind of clean. It looks like an Expedition riser to me, which I think Elite's kind of kept this style. I mean, they're tweaking, but it looks similar. They've
had a similar cage riser since I think the option bows came out, which that's been probably 8 years or so now.
The finish is pretty neat. It reminds me of like a, I don't know, like a coppery bronze. It's kind of cool looking.
Yep.
Shiny though.
That's a new one for this year for them, that finish option.
That's cool. It's a cool looking bow.
I believe they call it liquid copper.
Okay.
I believe is what they call that.
That's cool. I like it. I think it's sharp. It's almost got like metallic finish.
We got 2 that are similar name. One's a bronze color and the other one's a copper color. 33 axle, 6 3/4, so fairly generous. Should be a really forgiving bow.
Kind of dumped into the back wall a little bit. That might have been me, but
90% let off, so that's why you're feeling that big, you know, when you get there, it really pops in there.
Kind of.
Because of that, they've got these big flat metal stops. You get a little bit of that ting when you hit full draw. And I took the stealth strip, you know, from Lou and threw them on there, and it's gone. That's all it really needs, because when you dump into that 90% let off and it hits that wall, you always get just that slight ting.
Especially like guys like me who pull back all floppy.
It's a super easy fix. I was a little bit worried about it initially, but once I threw a piece of black stealth strip on, you can't feel any difference.
Right.
It's not thick enough to change the let off, you know, any noticeable amount, but the noise is completely gone. To the point where I'm almost wondering why Elite doesn't ship them with something like that already on them.
I mean, I'm out of bow shape too. It's March right now, so you kind of just sloppy pulling bows back. I'm sure it's the middle of summer. You get comfortable. Especially you pick a bow up, you start figuring out where that back wall is. You start building that that memory a little bit.
This is another bow that has, you know, again, like the BOWTECHs, and some of the others we talked about, it has a smooth and a speed mod.
Okay.
They ship these bows. It's kind of weird. The Ethos comes with speed mods. You can get a smooth mod option, and then the Kairos comes with smooth mods, and you can buy a speed mod if you want.
Okay.
So you do have the option on these bows to change the draw cycle up a little bit. It's not as noticeable as the BOWTECH. It's a slighter change in my mind. You know,
Okay.
you can feel it for sure, but it's not as big of a difference in the feel.
Right.
Going from one to the other. I draw a bow about as slow and meticulous as anybody I know, and I still slap and hear that. I can't draw that without getting that little tiny
tink.
But it, like I said, easy fix.
Yeah. Last but not least,
up, we got the Bear Persist, new for 2024.
So is this Bear's flagship bow?
This is their flagship bow. Last year they had, you know, 30 and a 32. They had two options. This year they're just going with one, keep it simple as far as their flagship option. A couple new interesting features. You know, they got the little bow hanger built into the riser. You know, some people think it's kind of quirky, but it's effective, especially for these saddle guys hunting out of saddles. They got the, you know, the gear hook, the gear straps on the trees with the hooks, easy to hang. They do have pick rail, both rest and sight. They got a new shelf pad that's built right into the bow. You know, you no need to, you know, stealth strip your riser. It's already built in for you. Fully adjustable roller guard system. You can laterally tune with it. You can move it back and forth. This is a cam that, you know, if you're going to need to shim the cam, you know, you're going to tune it by shimming.
Am I seeing a level inside of the?
Yes. It's got a level built into the riser, you know, in case your sight doesn't have one, or if you want to just match level sight to riser. Also has a new floating stop back here, so there's actually movement here.
Oh yeah.
Suck up some of that vibration. This whole thing is, you know, basically floating.
Oh wow.
A lot of features. You know, people don't really realize Bear's, you know, putting the effort into the high. They're more known for that price point market, but they're putting effort into that high end market. I don't know that the sales are there yet in that market, but you can't say they're not trying it. It's a nice shooting bow.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I said the same thing last year. You know, there's not a lot of people even give them a look in that price range. Maybe they should. But I think it's a pretty nice shooting bow.
So $1,200.
Yep.
Something like that. So it's flagship, just like the others.
Yep. It might be a tick shorter than 30.
Got flinched a little bit when I shot.
Another bow that's got a lot of let off options. You can do it all the way up to 90, and you can go down to 65 on this one as well. Still using the same echo cam that they used the last couple of years on the high-end bows.
It's a big cam.
Yeah, it is a big cam, smooth cam, a lot of adjustment, especially in the let off area.
I mean, this, like you said, it is kind of quirky, but it does make sense. I could see where that'd be.
I think it's, you know, the hunting public probably had some input on that.
Right.
You know, they're big bear guys, so, you know, and I know they're doing a lot of running and gun and saddle mobile stuff, so probably a feature that they had some input with.
Is this coming in here too? This little?
Yep, built right through the riser. There's a set screw so you can adjust the length of it on the sling.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you know, no need for a mount or a bracket. It's built right through the riser.
Never seen that before, have you?
I want to say somebody else did it a few years back and it didn't really
do much,
but
no.
Another, you know,
something else on there.
Another feature that nobody else is really doing.
Picatinny, the level, like it's got everything a flagship bow should have.
Right.
You know, so
it's one of those things where just more guys got to shoot them.
Yeah.
And give them a shot, I think.
Heck yeah, sweet. Take two.
So we're back?
We're back. Just shot 7 different brands of bows, and I mean, they're all so different in their own ways. I don't know which way I'm leaning right now. They're similar, but they're different. You know, it's like we were saying, there's not really any bad bows. Like
So yeah, you shot 11 different models from 7 different manufacturers. And I think the thing is nowadays is you can't go wrong.
Right.
I mean, everybody's making something that's really nice. In the past, somebody'd pick a bow over another bow, and I'd be like, you sure? Nowadays,
Right.
I can see it. You know, I can see why somebody would pick pretty much every bow out there over another bow based on a feature or something about that bow.
Right.
Maybe it's their stature, maybe it's the grip, maybe it's the speeds, you know, the draw cycle. I can see it. There's just a lot of really good options from everybody, really.
Yeah, there is, absolutely. That's the difference between, like, you know, Nick and I. Nick wants carbon bows. I'm like, man, why do you care so much about the carbon bow stuff? He's like, man, I hunt all through January. Like, it's freezing cold. I do not want to grab a cold riser. So, like, for him, I get that. I'm not hunting in the sub-zero temperatures. If I do, I'm in a redneck blind with my heater on high. So
I'm in the same boat. I'm more of a fair weather guy.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm on a hunt and it's cold, I'm hunting.
For sure.
I'm out of state. But if it's 0 degrees in December in Michigan, I'm probably watching football or something.
Not in a tree stand, right?
Yeah. So but I do appreciate the carbon. I've gotten into a couple carbon bows the last couple of years from HOYT and PSE specifically, and I do appreciate some of the benefits there, but it's definitely not, for me anyway, it's not a must-have.
I like the lightness factor to all those carbon bows. You know, last year I hunted a lot more public than I typically hunt. So having a lighter bow, you know, I'm already carrying a tree stand, I'm already carrying camera gear, so having a, you know, sub 4-pound bow is just kind of nice. You know, you're going through the timber, brush, nasty stuff, you have this nice light bow. Sometimes it's got to go over your head, you know, whatever it might be. So that makes sense too, the weight.
That's one of the cool things about what Mathews did this year. You know, they didn't go to carbon, but their bow is very comparable to the carbon bows as far as weight now. So
yeah,
they didn't have to, you know, go to that $2,000 price point to get a bow that's light and performs and you know, has all the features. So
yeah, you saw my reaction as soon as I went to shoot the lift, and I wasn't even thinking about it. I just grabbed it and I went, whoa, this thing is light. And you're like, yeah, it's the weight of a carbon bow.
Yeah, when you look at it compared to, you know, from a distance, the past few models, you don't see it.
Yeah.
As soon as you grab it, you feel it.
Yes.
I mean, it's noticeably lighter than the past few models, and so far it's trending to be probably our best-selling bow since we've been here for 11 years. So
that's crazy.
It's been hot.
I think Mathews kind of, you know, paved the way. I'm biased because I love Mathews, you know, but they kind of paved the way to the integrated sights, the integrated rests, the bow stands, you know, I mean,
it changed our sales structure for sure, and everybody's following suit. You know, there's a lot of good systems out there now. Mathews probably at the forefront, but HOYT's got a complete system. BOWTECH, PSE's got their own bars and quivers and everything now. So everybody, you know, Prime's got a rest that's built for their bow. Everybody's got a system now, and a lot of guys, you know, you definitely don't have to do it, but a lot of guys really like that fit and finish when everything matches and everything's made for each other.
Yeah.
It seems like that. We talked about it last year, but it seems like even more so going forward. I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah. It's just that having factory parts, you just kind of know it's made for the bow. You know, coming from like the motocross world, like I wanted OEM parts, factory parts, like stuff that fit my bike, or, you know, so same with bow and arrow.
Yeah, for sure. When you buy a, you know, a generic brand rest and you go to put it on a bow, you may have to make a little bit of an adjustment about where it is or where it sits on the riser. These brand specific products, whether it's a rest, sight, quiver, you bolt it on, it's exactly where it needs to be from a fit and you know, integrity standpoint. So
absolutely,
there's no second guessing.
Right. You know, engineers spend a lot of time and money making sure that that's going to fit here. It's going to, you know, the weight's going to distribute properly on the bow and how it feels and stuff like that. So,
and a lot of them, you know, some of them when they first started doing them, the components, the sights and quivers and such, they were just kind of okay. Now they're all putting top of the line, you know, sights, quivers into the system. Again, you know, I hate to keep harping on, you know, following Mathews, but kind of what Mathews did, and everybody's kind of following suit there. And it's good. It's a good thing because it's good stuff.
Yeah, it is, man, for sure. There's not a bad bow out there. It was really hard for me because I went from the V3X to the Phase 4, and you were asking me a few months ago, like, what bow are you getting? I'm like, man, I don't know. I got to shoot them all first off.
Right.
And I'm in the exact same boat before I shot and after I shot. It's kind of like, the lift is awesome. Obviously, the lightness of it's probably the biggest thing that would sell me. Mm-hmm. All the features are pretty well the same. You know, they're not nothing too crazy. Yeah,
they shaved, you know, a lot of the weight out of it. They shaved, you know, they did it in the limb pockets. They did it in the new limb design. You know, there's no longer an axle going through the limb, so the limb can be a lot lighter and slimmer. A lot more machining in the riser. Did away with the barrel nuts to hold the limb axle, you know, limb bolts in. So they, you know, they shaved, I don't know what the exact number is, a third to, you know, a fourth of a pound or 1/4 to 4/10 of a pound out of it, I think. So
Yeah, it feels significantly
it's
lighter.
noticeable. Doesn't seem like much, but it's noticeable.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's a new cam that is a little bit more aggressive. You know, I will say that short Mathews, you know, the draw cycle's a little stout.
A little bit more aggressive.
Guys. You feel it stack up a little bit more than the Phase 4 V3X. On the 33, in my opinion, that kind of goes away a little bit. I definitely don't notice it as much.
Yeah.
And then the weight distribution and the weight of that bow, coupled with a longer axle makes me, you know, that's a bow that I really like at this point in the year. I haven't spent a ton of time behind any of these bows yet. I have a bow basically from every brand we shot set up, you know,
Right.
almost to a fault where I can't really get comfortable with one because I'm constantly playing with other bows.
Right.
Working in the shop, I like to see what works, what I like, what people are saying when they say something about. I want to know and feel all that myself, so
Yeah.
I can have an answer or maybe a remedy for an issue they're having.
For sure.
But, you know, that Lift 33 for me from Mathews, and you know, people that know me, I love Mathews as a company. I haven't always loved their bows from year to year, you know, as compared to some of the other bows. I have had some over the years that I really like. You know, this one's definitely my favorite in the last 5 years, going back to at least the Traverse, which I like a lot. So it's a good shooting bow. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with it.
That's awesome, man. Because I think last year you were probably leaning a little more towards like the PSEs and some stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, I hunted with a Levitate last year. Really liked that bow. They didn't make any real changes to that particular bow. They did come out with a Mach 30, which is a shorter version, carbon. They made some changes to that bow, mainly in like the roller guard system. Awesome feeling bow. A little bit shorter than I like. I know you like short bows generally, but at 30, that's kind of at the low range of what I like. That's a bow that's definitely a potential hunting bow for me this fall.
For sure.
It draws super nice with the Evolve Cam. It's an EC2, they call it now, with the new shim system. Super tunable. It's probably the lightest bow that we shot as far as overall mass weight.
Yeah.
This is a really good shooting bow.
Yeah. Like going back to when you said, you know, I like a small bow. I like a small bow for, you know, the carrying purposes, for the hunting purposes, but when it comes down to like shootability, oh, those big bows, you know, they're better in my opinion.
You do more mobile hang and bang type setups. You're carrying more gear than I carry, you know, so you got to factor in size, weight, maneuverability, you know, all that kind of stuff. You may be in a shoot shack. I don't, you know, I'm not generally hunting that scenario. In the spring turkeys, I usually go with a smaller bow, but a lot of times I'm hunting with a different bow in the fall than I am in the spring. So
that's something for people at home to keep in mind if they're considering, you know, like what kind of bow it is they want to buy. Like what style of hunting are they doing? Are they hunting in a blind? Are they turkey hunting? Are they just walking 100 foot out behind their house to climb into a tree stand? Because you know, if that's the case, you don't need a super ultra light compact bow. You could probably go with something a little bit bigger, a little more comfortable, a little more weight, stuff like that. So
I've just always found, for me personally, 32 to 34 inch axle I shoot noticeably better than 30 and under. Right. You know, when we start talking 40 yards and beyond, which 99% of the time that's out of my hunting range anyway, but I still like the fact that I know I can get away with a little bit more with that longer bow for a forgiveness standpoint. Absolutely, man. It's all preference. You know, at that level of bows, like I said, we just shot that many bows and they're all so good. Like there's pros and cons, I guess, to everything, but they're all so good. You can't come in here and really make a wrong decision. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not at this level, not anymore, but it's just preference. The only thing I would say, you know, and I feel like this is the only time people do make wrong decisions, is when they have a preconceived notion about a bow. Right. And somebody tells them something, or they read something, and they come in here and they like a bow better than another bow, but they'll buy the bow they thought they wanted just because their buddy said they should buy that bow, or they read something that they buy the bow you like. Yeah. I mean, they're all good. And we've had customers buy bows, you know, that wasn't the bow they liked the best because of a name brand or X, Y, or Z. And they've come back a month or two later and said, you know what, I think I made a mistake. You know? You know, and we'll try to work with them. Sometimes we can, you know, trade or figure out how they can sell the bow or whatever we got to do to make it work for them. But we definitely do see that occasionally.
For sure, man. Well, that's something I was talking to Chase about a minute ago, is like, you guys are one of the very few bow shops in Michigan specifically that carries 7 brands of bows.
Right.
Like that's pretty uncommon to have that many types of bows here. So if somebody's watching this video and they're trying to figure out what kind of bow it is they want to buy, I mean, there's 7 bow brands here.
We're fortunate that we're in an area right now where, there's some shops, an hour or so away, but nothing real close that has a lot of brands. And even a lot of the bigger shops are kind of focusing on, 2 to 4 brands. But we're trying to carry all the big ones to, please as many customers as we can. So, we've got Mathews, PSE, BOWTECH, HOYT, Elite, Prime, and Bear, all in stock, ready to shoot. Whether you're a guy that knows what you want, come in, shoot one bow, you buy it, or we get guys that come in, hey, I want to shoot everything you got,
Yeah,
that's
like what we did today.
Yeah, basically. It takes time, but like I told Tyler, that's what we do, man. That's what we're here for. So we want you to get the bow that's going to work best for you, and if you need to shoot 9 different models to figure that out, we're going to set 9 different bows up for you. So
that's cool, man. I think that definitely says a lot about you, and also the shop that you guys have here is catering to the customer and letting them come in and shoot a bow. Like, you're not pushing a bow brand on anybody. You're not saying, hey, buy this bow, trying to make a buck. Like, come in, shoot what you're comfortable, and I'll try to guide you in the right direction here.
Yeah, I mean, I really could care less which bow they buy. Obviously, I'd like them to buy something that we have. That's why we have more brands than most. But if they don't, hey, we'll set up XYZ brand that they bought somewhere else too. I mean, we're here for that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as what we have in stock, or if we have to order it, it doesn't, I'm not going to shove BOWTECH down your throat, even if it's my favorite bow. I'm not going to shove a carbon HOYT down your throat if that's my favorite. It's just not what I'm here for. Like I said, I can see it from all angles. I can see why somebody might like an Elite better than a Mathews, or a HOYT better than a PSE. I can see all that,
For sure. Probably, like you said, preconceived notions of videos like this they watched online and saw some guy, punching a trigger.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sell a specific bow on this video either, I can tell you that.
For sure, man. That's good to not be biased and kind of, like you said, be able to have the customer come in, shoot what they want, and just guide them in the right direction. Right. That's huge. But I definitely appreciate you doing this a couple years in a row now, letting me come down here and take up an entire day, basically close down your bow shop to shoot this video. So I hope the people at home are getting some value here, because we're really just trying to shoot them, give unbiased opinions of the bows, and kind of go over some of the specs and stuff like that. We didn't get super nitty gritty into the the speeds and the brace heights and stuff, but I'll have it on screen in the video. So
yeah, we're going to put the specs in the videos with some of the bows as you were shooting them.
Yeah.
I guess, was there anything that stood out for you that surprised you, or bow you liked more than you thought you were going to, or vice versa? Or?
Yeah, probably one of the smoothest bows I shot was that aluminum HOYT.
The Alpha X33.
The Alpha X33. I would say, if I had to say what was the smoothest shooting bow I shot today, I would probably say that. That or the BOWTECH SS. What's
the carbon one?
Yeah, no.
The 1X or the SR?
The SR.
You shot the SR.
Yep, the SR was smooth too, and the carbon one. They're both smooth. But I think that, I hate to say it out loud, just because I'm biased about HOYT. It's kind of like Ford and Chevy, it's like Mathews and HOYT.
That's competitive banter with your buddy is all that is.
It is, for sure.
It's funny you say that, because we're talking while he's shooting, and he shoots the shorter HOYT, same mod, same cam, and he makes a remark about the draw felt like a little bit dumpy at the back.
Yep.
Same cam in a different draw length position on the other model, it's butter smooth.
Right.
So that just goes to show a guy certain size may prefer one bow or another. Certain draw lengths are going to feel a little bit different on one bow versus the other.
Yeah.
They did make some good changes, HOYT, this year. I felt like, especially in their cam, 1/4 inch draw length adjustments. I mean, they're not the only one that's ever done that before, but it is a nice feature to have.
Yeah.
3 different let-off options. Their new shim system's a lot better, tighter tolerance than what they've had in the past. New axles, wider limbs.
Yeah.
The aluminum riser is completely redesigned. The carbon basically stayed the same, but just the changes in the cam make that bow a lot nicer than the RX-7, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, there were definitely changes from the 7 to the 8, but I don't think I put much stock in the aluminum HOYT last year. I remember shooting it, but I don't remember exactly how I felt. This one was like, wow, it's smooth. Like
the new aluminum bows, I think from a feel standpoint, made a bigger jump than the RX-8, RX-7.
Okay.
I think there is, like I said, with the cams and the adjustments on the 8, it's definitely a better bow than the 7, but I think you feel and notice the aluminum definitely more.
Probably more of
from
a
the
difference.
VTMs into the Alpha X models. They're really dead.
See, my downside to that is like, okay, now I know that's the best shooting, what I feel like smoothest draw, you know, really great shot. Like I like that bow overall, but it's not practical for the way I hunt because it's big, it's heavy.
They make a shorter version, but you would be in that draw length range that you shot the RX-8, so you might not like the draw cycle quite as much as you did on the 33.
That's crazy, man. There's so much that goes into it. Like there's so many details and specs in these things.
I know
it's almost overwhelming.
For sure. And I know one of your favorite features about the Mathews has always been their stand, the limb legs.
Yeah.
And HOYT
now
has a new. They've had them in the past, but maybe not quite to the level of the new one.
Right.
That new Ghost Sticks 2 is pretty cool.
Yeah, those look pretty cool.
It's probably, at least from what I've seen, probably the most comparable or best stand system where you can get your cam out of the dirt if you want to, or even if you have to rest it on the cam, they have a little guard on the cam for it now. So
that's huge. You know, the small compact bow with the bow stand, like especially turkey season, when you're turkey hunting, having that cam out of the dirt, or you know, even in Missouri where I'm hunting out of a blind or something like that, it's just having that cam not sitting on the ground, just it makes it feel a little bit better.
yeah.
So HOYT kind of followed suit there and did something similar, and then they also have that little nodule on the back of the cam, so it's not sitting in the dirt. But
yep, it's a nice system. I feel like half the guys buying HOYTs are buying the Ghost Sticks now, and the same thing with Mathews. It's probably 50 to 70% guys that buy a Mathews are buying those engaged limb legs. If not right away, definitely
down the road or something.
Buddies have it.
See for me, like if I think about switching to, like, let's say a BOWTECH or to a Prime or some of these other really awesome bows, the first thing I think of is, I lose my limb legs.
Right.
Or I lose like my Mathews quiver that sits tight to my riser. Or I lose some of these accessories.
You do, but we have like the HOYT legs. They actually we found that you can put them on PSE on some of the models.
Oh, really?
We had a guy that put them on a BOWTECH on that rear low mount. So we have been able to retrofit some of these nicer stands onto other models.
Okay.
And I'm sure in the next 2-3 years they're all going to have something.
They probably will.
If they don't already have it, you know, or they'll at least improve on what they have.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know the stats, but there's got to be more than half of them have integrated
Picatinny mount for the sight, yeah. If it's not a Mathews with the bridge lock, and then BOWTECH
got the integrated.
The integrated basically center. They're calling it their center mass technology, and that's across the board. They've got stabilizers. They've got a new quiver to fall in that center mass line, and then the sight. Black Gold, obviously, BOWTECH owns Black Gold, so they were the first ones to launch the sights, and Black Gold makes a really good sight. So super good tolerance. It actually bolts through, goes through the riser, and then there's a pin to bolt it in, so there's literally no slop whatsoever in that system. It's really strong. And then I'm seeing HHA's already come out with a bar that'll fit it, so you'd be able to retrofit any HHA sights to the BOWTECHs.
That's cool.
So they have, again, complete system. Sight, quiver, rest. They own ripcord as well. The new ripcord lineup looks good. We're still waiting to see those. I saw them in person, but I haven't got stock in yet. But they revamped their entire lineup. They were kind of stale for a few years. Their whole rest lineup looks nice.
Nice.
I've talked to a couple other shops that have already got them. They've sold through. So
that's awesome.
Should be some new good stuff coming from BOWTECH and their brands as well.
That's cool, man. Last thing I didn't ask you about is, didn't Mathews have a new integrate rest? They have a new V2 version or something of the rest?
It's an MX2. It's a second generation of the original one. So they shortened the arms on the launcher a little bit. It's now dampened, so they basically have rubber dampers that fit through the frame of the launcher.
Do you have to have the felt on it or no?
They've got felt just in the V, like right in the bottom.
Okay.
So a tiny piece of felt, the rubber dampers inside. It takes a little bit, with that aluminum housing, sometimes, especially if the rest was low on the bow and it maybe nicked the shelf, you get a little ping out of it.
Okay.
You could still strip the riser or put a shelf pad on there, but it tends to take a little bit harmonic ping out of it, so it's a little bit quieter rest, I think.
Yeah, that's cool. That's something I always rip through that felt. After shooting all summer, going to these things, I'm like, man, I got to replace my felt.
For guys that shoot a lot, a lot of times I'll recommend not even put the felt on until it's go time. Until they start tuning for hunting, start tuning with their broadheads, because believe it or not, that little bit of amount can change. But if you're shooting a ton of arrows in the spring, and you're not turkey hunting, even if you are turkey hunting, I don't think they're sound sensitive like deer.
Probably not.
But I would just run it without.
Just wait.
To be honest with you, and put it on, in August, September, when it's time to get serious about killing big critters.
For sure. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that. I know that wasn't bow specific, but I saw they came out with that new.
The legs are different too this year. It's a EXO version of the limb legs, so the lifts take a different limb leg than what the Phase 4s and the E3Xs did. So it is a little bit lighter again with that whole lightweight theme.
It's nice, man. Like a lot of guys, you know, like I said, I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but that light bow makes a difference when you're carrying weight.
Yeah. And they've got cool new color. A lot of bows have new color this year. We saw the HOYT Tombstone Mathews. I think they got like 5 new colors, which is awesome. Everybody likes options. It makes it tough to stock the right color combinations and the right stuff, but it's nice to have options. And they got, I think, 5 new colors this year. 1 new solid, the bottomlands, and then the fade to blacks, which I think we shot one of those, so you guys will see that. Yeah,
that fade color is pretty cool. It looks cooler in person than it did. More than I thought it was going to look, like on the website.
Yeah, I was a little bit apprehensive when I heard about it. And when I saw it, it's kind of growing on me a little bit.
It's cool looking.
Most of the guys seem to like it.
That's cool, man. Well, awesome. Yeah, I mean, that was shooting all the bows and kind of the details and the specs and kind of first impressions, thoughts. Not my first impressions. You know these things like the back of your hand.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still every day I shoot a bow, I'm learning something. You know?
How long you been doing this?
I'm going on. I hate to say it, but like 26 years basically.
That's awesome,
in
man.
The industry. For most of that time frame, I've had a couple short stints away, but started back in 97, 98 time frame. I guess it would have been 98.
That's awesome. I think that's important though, man. Like you've been doing it that long. And you know so much, so if somebody's hesitant about coming down here and getting some, you know, random person who doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, like you're very educated. I think that framing is important.
I'm definitely never going to claim to know it all, but
you know a lot of stuff.
I'm in that odd age range where I'm kind of a tweener. I'm not an old school guy, but I'm not a kid either. So I've seen the old, you know, when I started working on bows, it was TM Hunter rests, you know, steel cable, a lot of steel cable bows. Real basic stuff. Most guys were still shooting fingers, aluminum arrows, to what we have today. And you know, it seems like most of the guys in the industry are one way or the other. The younger guys that have only seen the new stuff, you put, you know, an SL50 dart in front of them that, you know, they go cross-eyed. They're not sure what they're looking at. No Night bow or one from back in the day or whatever. Yeah. Or they're used to that stuff and they maybe haven't adapted to some of the newer stuff. So I think I'm in, you know, just my age and how long I've been doing it, I'm in kind of a unique scenario there.
Well, you've been doing it a long time and you're very educated about it, so
I appreciate that.
I just think you know a lot. So if somebody comes in here and is like, hey, you know, you're not going to steer somebody the wrong way. And it's very clear you're not trying to push sales. You're not trying to push somebody to a certain brand. So if somebody's interested in coming down here, shooting one of these bows and getting expert advice, like there's not a better place for it. So
I appreciate that.
Hey,
and I don't want anybody to shoot what I shoot unless they want to. You know?
Right.
So like you said, I'm not going to set your bow up like mine unless you say, hey, I want my bow like yours. You know, I want it to work for you and what you want. So
right. And my aspect is like, can you build my bow for me? Because I don't know what I want.
And I'm more than willing to do that too.
I'll take whatever he's having because I can't decide. But cool, man. Let's wrap this video up. I hope you guys got some good information out of this. I hope it was helpful. I hope it helps you decide. If nothing else, maybe you'll come down to Sunrise Archery in Fenton, Michigan. Come down here, shoot some new bows. Tell them you saw this video. Tell them you saw Tyler and you're asking for Derek or Chase or Zach or one of these guys. And come down here and shoot one of these brand new bows today. They'll get you set up. They won't steer you the wrong way. Lastly, we have a giveaway going. So like this video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below, and we're going to select somebody for a $100 Sunrise gift card. And I think we got some Rise gear coming too, some hats and stuff, so we could send out some hats and shirts and stuff like that. So get in on the giveaway. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And next videos coming in are coming into turkey season, so a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. And go check out some videos from last year too. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
Yep.